Welcome to the Fatherhood Lens podcast, a podcast for fathers by fathers. And now here's your host, Jake Brown.
Welcome to the Fatherhood Lens podcast, episode 3. I'm really excited for my next guest. His name is Dan. He's going to be talking through his experience being a stepdad and his unique experiences of being a stepfather and what challenges he goes through. So really excited to introduce Dan. I want to thank every listener for listening to the previous episode 2, where I interviewed Travis, and Travis had his journey through IVF. So we got IVF through a father's lens. And I think that's really important. Appreciate the courage that Travis took in sharing his journey. Without further ado, we're going to jump to Dan, and we're going to talk about being a stepdad. Welcome to the Fatherhood Lens podcast, episode number 3. I'm really excited. I have Dan here. We're going to be interviewing Dan and his experience being a stepdad. So Dan, welcome to the podcast. I know we've talked about this for some time, so glad to have you on.
Thanks, Jake. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's been, a couple weeks in the making since we started talking about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I know there's a lot of stepdads out there. You have a unique experience. Excited to hear about your experience and see how other stepdads out there can relate or maybe learn from you. Or if someone wants to be a stepdad, they can learn from your experience. Can you walk me through the first time you found out your significant other had a child and kind of what was your initial reaction?
Yeah. So actually, Anna Marie told me really early on that she had a child because, we met, number one, we met through a dating app. So that's kind of how we met. And she put it in there like, hey, I have a daughter. And if you have no interest in being a dad, don't be a part of this. And I was like, I've always wanted to be a dad. My mom was adopted. I don't care if I have an adopted kid. They're the same thing to me as a kid of my own flesh and blood, if you will.
So your initial reaction stepping into it was like great. It
excitement. Yeah.
Awesome.
Pure blown excitement from the start.
That's awesome. Cause you don't hear that a lot from people. They see kid and they're like, oh, big red flag. But to you, it was like, let's do this.
Yeah. It was like right on, at the very beginning of the relationship, I told Anne-Marie early on, I was like, hey, don't feel pressured to introduce because she told me, I don't know, within a couple of months or something, what her daughter's name was. I said, don't feel pressured to have me meet your daughter at any point in time. When it feels natural, it feels natural. Just, we'll let it go and I'll be the happy, jolly guy that I always am and try to be I'll be friendly at first. I don't want her to start immediately thinking me as dad and whatnot. We'll ease her into it. Yeah. Kind of a thing.
How would you describe your relationship with your stepdaughter right now?
Really good. She is almost 8. She's turning 8 next Monday. And she is 8 going on about 14. She is incredibly opinionated. She likes things done her way, and that's perfectly fine. But she is great. She's super fun to be around. She's super excitable. She loves to hype people up, me up, her mom up, all of her friends. Even at her basketball practice, this is her second week. The first week, the coach just said is your positivity is infectious because she's hyping up her teammates. She barely knows how to dribble, and she's like, "We got this. We're gonna beat this other team." And her whole mentality is so positive, and it bleeds into you. And
I'm sure that's helped you.
Yeah, it really has.
This role has probably become easier because of her energy.
Yeah, definitely. Now her going on 14 thing is sometimes she can be a little hard to convince to do things, but that's okay. That comes with growing and whatnot. And she's lived in a house with only women for the last, 7-8 years of her life. So she hasn't had a male authority figure in her life all that much.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we talk about your role as that figure, when you first became a stepdad, what questions did you have about your role in the family specifically?
So as far as my role and my questions about that was, I asked Anne-Marie, hey, do you want me to be more hands-off, more hands-on? Do you want me to feel my way out? Or, do you want Scar to kind of grab my hand and tug me along? He's hey, I want you to be more, involved in these things. It was because at first it was very, oh, mom, I want you to come. Mom, I want you to be here. Mr. Dad, if you want to come, you can. But now it's kind of she picks and chooses like, oh, I've been with mom all day. Mr. Dad, come on, let's go do this, or vice versa. You've been with me all day. She'll have her mom do stuff. So it's kind of like, being 50% of the interaction with the kid, kind of a thing.
So did you see yourself, I guess when you first started, did you see yourself more as a parent, a mentor, a friend? And has that kind of since changed since you've gotten to know her over the past year or so, couple years?
Yeah, so it has definitely changed. When I first met her, I was definitely trying to be more fun, more, whatever she asked for, of course. Yeah, let's do that. I want to go to the store and get this. Absolutely. But it has slowly molded. I still do some of that stuff sometimes. It can't be hard all the time.
Right.
You can try to be, but when they start batting their eyes, like the big lower lip, it gets tough. But
I understand completely.
As of since she started second grade, I've been trying to do more mentoring because I moved up into Michigan and we all moved into the same place together in March. So we've been together for less than a year now. And I jumped in at the tail end of her first grade year. So I was kind of more of a help kind of things move along, not really force my hand into things. But now at the beginning of her second grade year, like I'm definitely trying to be more help and mentoring, like helping her read stuff, helping her do more handwriting. And like that's been reassuring because she sees it from a different point of view now. Because I'm an engineer. I'm much more like methodical in how I do things. So it's like a completely different mindset. And she loves having a plan and like having steps to complete the plan. So she loves that. And me bringing that into the fold with like some of her teachings has been, I think, reassuring for her. Although sometimes she can get bored.
Yeah.
Because she's like, she likes it. And then she's like, that's taking too long.
I think that's important though. You mentioned that like a woman and a mother brings like that creative aspect towards a child. Mm-hmm. And then you have that father who generally brings that like problem solver mentality and very methodical scientist, engineer like. So it's good to have both perspectives when you're developing like a child. Yeah.
And definitely I've been trying to install some like being timely on things. And it's been fun. It's like, all right, Scar, we need to be ready to leave in 10 minutes and you don't have your clothes on yet. We talked about this. Come on, to get changed first. There was actually something happened this morning where she was like,
that's funny.
She wasn't at the table to eat her breakfast 15 minutes before the bus came. And I was just like, I've told you 3 times to get changed. We have lost time. We're out of time to do things. So trying to install that, and she's taking her time getting used to it, which is fine. It's really fun to see her head go because she's like trying to get as much as she can out of the situations.
Have you ever struggled with knowing, hey, when do I step in? When do I step back? Was that more kind of in the beginning of the process?
Yeah, early on, it was a struggle because I always leaned on the side of just sit back and listen and see how her and her mom would interact with one another, her and her aunt would interact with one another in their household, and just see like, okay, how can I inject myself into this situation? What would I do? So I would say for like the first month and a half, that was definitely like when there were scenarios going down that I had not been a part of or been associated with in the last year that I'd known and been dating her mom. I was like, I'm just going to sit back and listen. I didn't even give Anne Marie my eyes and be like, if you need me, just let me know. I'll step in with what I think should be done. But I'm going to let you two figure this out until you need me. But now it's definitely more like we jump in at the same time. We attack it in different angles usually. I'm more logical. Hey, this is what you should do. And then her mom is more, this is like, she's got all the experience with her growing up. Scarlett's grown up with her the whole time. Right. So she has all the experience.
So you mentioned like earlier, just her energy, her positivity. Mm-hmm. Do you think that was the easiest part of connecting with her?
Yeah, I would say like I'm genuinely a very positive person. Usually when it has to be really down bad for me to be like super negative, but like her positivity, her energy, and her excitement, like she gets excited at something, and it's just like, usually if I were to get something excited, I was like, hey, you need to relax, man. Like you're getting way too pumped up about this. But seeing a kid get that excited, it's like it's infectious, and it's definitely something that we connected on because I would start hyping her up when she starts getting hyped about something, and it was super cool. It's definitely one way we connected.
What do you think was the hardest?
The hardest was definitely the the dragging the feet, because it can be super stressful when it's like, hey, we need to be somewhere in 10 minutes. It's going to take 10 minutes to drive there, and you are not ready.
You're already late.
I need you to batten down the hatches. That's my thing. I usually say it's either batten down the hatches, pull yourself together, or like get to stepping, because we are late, and I'm habitually early to everything. So because playing football, being in organized sports, if you're on time, you're late. Right. So I'm usually like even getting here for this podcast, I was 4 minutes. I got here at 56, 57, something like that. And I know you had said 55, and I was like, I wanted to be there at 50, and trying to get out the door to take her to her basketball practice. Like, come on, please, you guys, please, we need to get out of here. We need to go. So that's definitely the toughest thing, but she's been getting better at it. She'll have a rough day every once in a while, but I would say it has been significantly better. That's good. That's been the tough part.
Have there been any moments of resistance? Like, has she ever said, hey, you're not my dad, or I'm not listening to you because of XYZ? No,
so there's never been any resistance in that way for her saying, I'm not going to listen to you because you're not my dad or anything like that. The closest thing to you're not my dad that I ever got was actually the week after I proposed. She was still calling me Mr. Dan at the time. Now I'm Mr. Dad. But when she was the first one I told that I was going to propose to her mom. I figured, usually it goes dad, mom, and then you propose. But because Scar was in the fold, I was like, I'm definitely going to tell her. I'm going to ask her permission first. I was like, do you think it's okay if I marry your mom? Like that. And I actually did it in like a bounce house, like took her on a little date to a bounce house type thing. But no, the only resistance, sorry, I got sidetracked. The only resistance I ever had was the following week is her and her mom were talking. It's like, I don't know if I'm ready to call Mr. Dan dad yet. And I was just like, it was tough to hear because she was so on board with me proposing. I was like, oh, I got it in the bag. But it was like that moment of hesitation. But it was like a month later, she started calling me Mr. Dad. And it was just like, oh, it was all that for nothing. But no, there's never been any real resistance in that way.
So do you think, like, come the wedding day, do you think it's going to like hit her, or do you think it's already hit her now that you're living together? Oh,
it's already hit her. She hasn't called me by my first name in 7 months, I think, 6 or 7 months. She's said, hey, this is my dad. You can call him Mr. Dan if you'd like. Like, that's the only time she ever refers to me by my first name now.
She's introducing you as Mr. Dan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's very comical.
So are there any activities or routines that have helped you build trust at all with your stepdaughter? Yeah, so
as far as building trust, like I help her. Well, this year's a bit different because her homework is now she just has to read. They don't have any like math or any kind of homework like that to take home. But last year it was that, like I would help her with her homework and I would try to teach her how to do things in like the simplest way possible, and like also let her kind of use her imagination. Like, hey, this is how I would do it. Do you think there might be a way that you would like how to do it better, kind of a thing? And I think that really helped her. It's like, I'm not going to tell you how to do everything. I'm going to use your brain a little bit. Use your own thought process and figure out how you like to do things. Always asking her like, hey, what do you want for breakfast? That kind of stuff. Like I'm asking her what she wants, what she likes. And I try to I'm going to try to make it this way to see if I can make it better. So like just talking to her, taking her on little trips here and there to like parks and whatnot, having fun.
Absolutely. When it comes to authority, how do you and Anna Marie handle discipline together?
So we kind of tag team, like the kind of bad cop, good cop scenario, depending on how resistant Scar is being towards us. Like, as simple as something like, hey, we asked you to clean your room, like 2 days ago, and the day after that, and this morning, you still haven't cleaned it, kind of a thing. And then, so it's like, when it hits that point in time, and it's like, her mom will be like, all right, we're going to start taking stuff away from you. And then like, she'll get real down because she's like, I just don't want to clean my room. And I'm like, hey buddy, and I'll sit down there and I'll clean it with her. But I'll do like the bare minimum of like, I'll pick one thing up at a time and I'll be like, oh, see that goes in there in like the closet or something. And like, see her like start to do all this stuff myself, and then I'll slow down and let her do it. And I'll be like, see, you did 95% of the cleaning. It took you 10 minutes. I'm like, but there's sometimes when like Anna Marie's working and I'm at home with Scar and she's just being super hard and won't listen. And it's just like, okay, hey man, and she'll start to cry if I'm not doing what she wants me to do. And I'm like, hey, crying is not going to help you. Like, right. It's not going to make me change my response or what I want you to do. Hey man, if you're going to cry about it, go in your room for 20 minutes and we'll come back out and we'll talk about it again. But like right now, that's not fair for you to start crying to me to get what you want, because it's not how this is going to work.
I was going to ask you about the bad guy, like bad cop, good cop. Like, how do you balance being respected by Scar without being as seen as like, I'm the bad cop?
It's we usually know when we've gone a little too far. And it's like, okay, all right. So we have a rule in our household of like no TV during the weekdays. And like, in order to watch TV at night on the week, or in order to watch TV on the weekends, you have to read a book. Like 20 minutes of reading gives you like an hour of TV on the weekend or something like that. So if we know it's like, we probably overdid it a little bit, like we're probably being a little too harsh, we'll be like, hey, let's sit there and watch some Bluey for like 30, 40 minutes.
Love
and just kind of like help bring her out. I had never even seen or heard Bluey until I met Scar and Anna Marie, and it really is an amazing kid show. Like, I wish I had it when I was a kid. It's so good.
I know.
Sorry.
No, it teaches you a lot about like imaginative play.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I am not a good father. Like
I noticed some of Scar's shrieks and like sound she makes are from the show.
Right.
I didn't recognize it until I started watching it. I was like, I get it now. I know where these are coming from.
How confident are you in like setting rules? Do you hesitate when it comes to setting rules? I know you've talked like your progression, through being in your relationship, but do you find it easier to set rules now? So
at first, like early on in the relationship, it was pretty tough. It was definitely tough to set rules, but now like we're very open as far as communication goes between Anna Marie, myself, me and Scar, all three of us together in the room. Like, we will have set up open boundaries that we all know the boundary. It's like, hey, just because if you cross this boundary, I'm not going to cross a boundary of yours, and vice versa. So like, and when you cross a boundary, like, call each other out. If I overstep one of your boundaries or your rules, call me out on it. If you do it to me, I will let you know. Same thing with your mom. She will let you know. She lets me know when I overstep a boundary on her side. No problem.
Do you think, obviously you came into Scar's life, you said like first grade. Do you think if you met her at an earlier point in her childhood, do you think that some things would be more difficult?
More difficult? I don't know if they'd be more difficult. They might be a little different. Like, I am much more like structured in, hey, if you make a mess, clean it up. Like, I have a rule for myself when I'm cooking or making dinner or lunch or whatever, I don't eat until the kitchen's clean. Like, I put all the stuff I use to cook away before I start eating. Because if I'm done eating, then I get a little tired. I don't really want to clean it up now. I got to get back to work or do whatever. So like those kinds of rules and whatnot. Yeah. What was the question again?
Oh, just the question was like, do you think if she was younger and you had met her at a younger point, do you think like if she wasn't more, I would say in first grade, you probably have some sort of like developmentally, you're further along, right? So if you had met her where she wasn't as developmentally, like have a personality and everything, do you think it would have been difficult or like more difficult or different? Yeah.
Sorry, I sidetracked in the answer and I was like, I think I lost the beat of the question.
You're good.
But like I said, difficult. I don't think it'd be any more difficult, but it definitely would have been a little bit different. Like, I think she would have been more accepting of the structure. She still resists a little bit here and there. But I see the moments in time where she's like, oh, I like this. Like, I think it was when we first moved in together, like the structure that I had in the morning to like get her ready to go to school. She like almost for the entire latter half of the year, she didn't miss the school bus once. And I guess before that, she had some difficulties with the school bus.
If we talk about like your relationship with Anna Marie, how do you both communicate about parenting roles? Is it something that you talk about often? Or is it like at the beginning you talked about it and now it's just kind of happens? Yeah,
so definitely early on, we definitely talked about it more. But now it is more of like when I am introduced to a new scenario that has not happened to me before, I react to it and respond to it the way that I normally would without her being there. And then later in the evening after we put Scar to bed, and I'll bring it up to her. I was like, hey, this happened today, blah, blah. And, this was my response. Is that okay? So that's kind of like how I kind of got introduced into like the parenting role and like how I respond to certain scenarios with Scar. But our communication as far as parenting is we'll communicate in the moment now. We'll communicate after the fact. It kind of depends on the severity of what we're talking about. Okay. Like there's definitely some topics where, you don't want Scar to be there where you're talking about it.
Yeah, and then I can empathize, like, too. Like, my wife and I will be like, did I handle that situation okay? Or maybe I could have done this differently. Yeah. So
actually, one of the things I like to do is because Scar loves to negotiate and argue and like, well, if you're going to, then I want this. And I'm like, all right, so my thing that I do now is I just give her outlandish negotiations. I'm like, all right, if you want to stay up to 9 o'clock on a school day, then the moment it hits 9:01, no dessert for the rest of the week. And she's like, that's not fair. I'm like, that's the negotiation. If you don't like it, then you got to go to bed at 8:30.
Right. It's an agreement between the two parties.
Like if you want to stay up to 9, then that's the agreement you'd have to make. You have to 9:01, dessert for the week's gone. And she was like, I don't like that. I was like, well, then you got to go to bed at 8:30.
So speaking of like agreements, have you and Anna Marie ever disagreed on how to handle your daughter, and how do you work through it?
Like hardcore disagreements and like that you handle that very badly, don't ever do that again kind of disagreements? No, it's never been like that. But like the first time that negotiation thing happened, when she was in the room, she's like, they're so aggressive. And I was like, I know, it's just to get her to realize that like if she wants to negotiate, I'm not someone to negotiate with, kind of a thing. I was like, I would never actually follow through on that. I was just like getting her to just like, if she wants something and she's willing to trade, she's got to think of her priorities. She loves her dessert. It's not worth it.
Right.
Kind of a thing. Now, if she counter offered, it was like, how about I get to stay up to 9, and if I stay up too late, I lose dessert. If she had just negotiated for like the next day, I've been like, deal. That's a negotiation. You negotiated with me. Yeah. Kind of a thing. But no, as far as like hardcore disagreements, I can't think of anything that has happened because I'm super even keeled. I have never yelled at either one of them. And I told Anna Marie and Scarf early on, I was like, I don't yell unless I need to. You have to be in danger or like I need to get your attention in like a busy, loud environment. Right. Because I'm not a yeller. There's no reason to yell inside the house. And I also don't like being yelled at. So please note, don't like being yelled at.
Yeah. How has being a stepdad brought you and Anna Marie closer?
I think the fact that I was so invested in becoming a dad early on. In fact, it was one of the topics that she was like, I literally you can't be my partner unless you are like, want to be a dad. And I told her early on, I wanted nothing more, not to be like, to have a kid. Having a kid isn't the thing. It's to be a father. It is to like instill knowledge and a way of living and like morals of your life, instill that in someone and bring them up better than what like you were brought up. Yep. Like some of the, like, I don't like being yelled at because my dad he yells at people when he doesn't like what's going on. He naturally his tone crescendos up in volume the longer a conversation goes and he doesn't like the way it's going. So it just constantly gets louder and louder to the point where he's yelling. I'm just like, hey, stop, relax. Number one, we're in our basement. You don't need to yell at me. I'm right here. Kind of a thing. But it has brought us really close because she loved my investment in Scar Media. Like even the first time I ever saw Scar, and she was super nervous, as any kid would be. I'd like get down to their level and just like, hey, my name's Dan. You can call me Mr. Dan. You can call me Baldy, which she still pulls out Mr. Baldy or Mr. Potato Head every once in a while. Those are her two favorite nicknames for me. Or like, I'm burnt today. I was out in the sun on Sunday and a little bit today playing basketball with her. She'll call me, was it cherry head or strawberry head? And your head gets strawberry when you're out in the sun. It's too hot out. Mr. Dad gets strawberry head. But just like my positivity that I have with Scar, and like, I don't brush Scar off for anything. Like I would much rather do something with her than to brush her off and do something for myself. Kind of a mentality. And I think Anna Marie really loved that. And it was, again, really early on in our conversation, she hit it home that like I needed to be like, do I love my family? I was like, I love my family and I can't wait to have a family of my own. Kind of an answer.
Yeah. And
that's how
I
it's been.
think it shows a level of maturity for both you and for her. Because at such a young age, I mean, a lot of people at a young age I'm thinking about going to the bar. I'm thinking about I'm going to be a professional hockey player, or I'm going to do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And I think especially dating online, that's an unknown variable.
Yeah.
And then when you throw in, hey, I have a child, that's another unknown variable.
Yeah.
But I think it shows a lot of maturity both on her end, because she's like, hey, this is what I have. This is what I'm looking for. Don't waste my time, essentially.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, I'm also looking for this. Let's not waste any time.
Yeah.
And then you build a very mature relationship.
Yeah.
And I think it turns into a very mature family.
Yeah, definitely. It was fun to see like the sparkle in Anne Marie's eyes when I was like, like we were FaceTiming and we were doing like the questions back and forth, because it was also, not only was it a online dating, matchup, it was also long distance, because I lived in Pennsylvania at the time, which is where she was born. And that's where her family is. That's where we met. So like we were doing this long distance thing, and that's like where all of these conversations happened over the phone. And it was just like, I met your daughter once, like super early on, and I met you. And like, I can't wait to be like a part of your family. And like, I knew early on, I was like, oh, she's the one. I'm not letting these two go anywhere if I can help it.
That's awesome. As you guys talk about expanding your family, how do you think the dynamic will be? You've mentioned in the past, like, Scar is your daughter. She's not your stepdaughter. Do you think there's going to be any like difference in dynamic as you introduce different, like, your children into the picture?
No, there's going to be no difference. In fact, like, we are going to have another child here in give or take 8.5, give or take months, probably.
Wow.
Based on what I saw last Friday. So
congratulations, man.
Yeah. So we're gonna, and it's gonna, something we told Scar about it on Saturday. And she was obviously a little nervous, because she's like, I don't know. I'm like, am I ready to be a big sister, kind of a thing? And she's like, she had the realization, like, oh, because she's been the only grandchild. She's like, oh, there's going to be another grandkid. Like, all the grandparents aren't going to give their time to me, and like, you guys won't give all your time to me. It's like, no, that's not how it works. There's no splitting up love and time and whatnot. We're adding extra time, adding extra love to the equation. You get the same amount you always get. We're just adding a little bit for the little peanut, the little jelly bean that's growing right now.
Yeah.
And she or he, you don't know, isn't here yet. So.
And I think that's like super important. Yeah. I have a twin, and I have another sibling. And it's like, when you're in that process of building your family, like, I'm creating a best friend for my other child. And so I think it's probably important that that she knows, like, hey, you're going to have a lifelong best friend, someone to always play with and
exactly.
be imaginative with.
And it was funny because for the last, even before we were engaged, Scar would always ask, when am I going to have a sister? When am I going to get a sibling? And me and Anna were just like, no time soon. That's the plan, is no time soon. And that was, over a year ago. And even up until like a couple months ago, we were just like, that's God's plan. He's like, if whatever happens, we can't force it, and just tell her that way, just let her just kind of be ambiguous. And her reaction was super, she thought we were kidding. When we told her, she's like, what? Stop playing. Stop joking with me.
Well, like, April Fool's was a long time ago.
I know, right? If she had said that, that would have been like, oh, you're way too smart.
Right.
If you're thinking of April Fool's in what? September, way too smart.
I remember one interaction I had with her. I tried to use reverse psychology on her, because I'm like, oh, reverse psychology works on every kid, right? Yeah. And I was like, oh, you're not going to eat your carrots. And she's just like, hey, Mr. Jake, reverse psychology doesn't work on me.
Yeah. Oh, she's a smart one. Like I said, she's 7 going on 14.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned Anna Marie's family.
Yeah.
How has her family and extended family treated you being, quote unquote, the stepdad?
So early on, one of her brothers is super, super extroverted, super outgoing. And like, we hit it off pretty early on, like talking, just chatting. He plays basketball. I played football. The elder of the two brothers, a little more introverted, but also like, he shook my hand, and Anna Marie told me, he's like, hey, He doesn't shake everyone's hand, like, and you talk to him and he talked back. Like, that's super important. So me and her two brothers kind of hit it off fairly well early on. Her dad loved me. Her mom loved me. I'm super traditional. I I'm very like, I wanted to walk up to the door the first time I came over to her parents' house and like shake Mr. Green's hand and shake and give her mom a hug. Right. And that kind of thing. And they've really brought me in. Like, I went to the first family cookout they've had in, I guess, a couple months ago. It was like right at the tail end of summer. Like, I went to Thanksgiving at their house. Like, they've really brought me in, and we all have sports to kind of get with and interact and talk about. Like, I played football in college, and they love that. Her dad loves the fact that it's like, oh, you got he's a big guy. He played football, didn't he? And then we told him, like, yeah, I played college. And her sisters were the tough ones. It took me over a year before they talked to me, because they were just like, yeah, we don't know about this guy. Like, and so it just through little acts of just like, hey, if you need any help with this or that, or, you know, I think her youngest sister is trying to get into college with basketball. I was like, hey, I've done the college athlete life, D1. Like, what do you want to know? Get tape. It's like just literally just putting my hat in the ring of just like offering assistance or help or advice or anything like that. And they've all really just like sucked me into the family.
That's awesome.
It's been great.
It leads me into my next question. You kind of already answered it, but do you feel included in family traditions? Do you feel included in like the milestones?
Yes, I do. Sorry, I definitely answered the second question. But yeah, it's been, and this upcoming Thanksgiving, we're actually going to try to get my family and her family together in one place for Thanksgiving for the first time. That's awesome. The plan, and that's going to be something to see, because her family is very large and my family is very small and tight knit. Her family is also very tight knit, but it's just much bigger. There's a lot more family members.
Well, that's awesome though.
Yeah.
Do you think being a stepdad and the way that her family sees you as Scar has also probably helped them say, okay, you know, he's good?
Yeah. I mean, I would say the second or third time I went over to her parents' house and Scar was there, I mean, I'm playing with her in the backyard, throwing her in the living room and stuff like that. And it's only the third time they've seen me with her. And they're just like, wow, he's like stepping into this role. And that was when we were still long distance. Like, she came to visit her parents, and like, I lived there. I live in that area. So like, I was immediately like right back into trying to have fun with Scarlett. And I think it was even before we were engaged at that point, but I'm just like, she's 7. Can toss her around and she loves that. Like, yeah, it's been something really cool. And they haven't called, like, her parents have not called me son yet. And like, there's just still Dan, but like, they've fully embraced me coming into the family. It's been really nice.
That's awesome. Transitioning to yourself and kind of like personal, emotional experience of being a stepfather, like, what insecurities or anxieties have you had about being a stepdad?
Anxieties or any type of insecurities. I'd say early on there was that fear of like, you've heard about stories or seen in TV shows or whatever about the stepdad and the stepkid not respecting them or their opinions or anything like that. It's still super young, so they're like, it's not like coming into her life when she's a teenager. But there is that slight fear or anxiety about even maybe in the future, you know, things could change. But I don't see that happening, just because I've been unapologetically like who I normally am, like funny, happy, good go lucky kind of guy. And I just hope that she realizes that I do love her, and there's never that like, oh, stepdad syndrome where they don't want to talk to you or like fill you in on things, or they're not open with you. So I'd say that's the only thing, but it hasn't come out yet. It's just in the back of my mind, but I'm trying to like, I keep constantly like, just like, that's not going to happen. I love her. She loves me. I try to make everything as fun as possible, but that is about the only thing.
What has surprised you the most, whether good or bad, about being a stepdad? Like, what has surprised you about yourself as a stepdad?
Probably just like the excitement when something amazing or fun or good happens in the household, whether it's, you know, or even getting her off the bus. Like, she's like, oh, Mr. Dad, like, this happened in school today. I got picked in the raffle for this, even though it's just, you know, it's an elementary school thing, but it's just like that joy that's like, you feel it and you just immediately just want to regurgitate it right back. So it's something that like I knew sometimes my own parents weren't like the most like super exciting when something crazy happened, but then they'd like maybe like the next day they'd be like, I can't believe, like almost like they're harkening back to the moment. Like, I can't believe that happened. Whereas me, I'm just like, oh, it's in the moment. Oh my God, this is amazing. Like, I can't believe you won the lottery. That's crazy. And you won like a unicorn pencil. That's amazing. Kind of a response. So I'd say that was probably the most like surprised I've been, is that just naturally came out.
And I think you can find a lot of commonality. This would be the third episode. So my story, Travis, who we interviewed in the second episode, like everyone's story has a lot of commonalities. And I think it's be there for your children, be excited and involved in what they're excited and involved in. I joke, like, I love hockey. My kids love musical theater.
Yeah.
I'm the biggest musical theater dad, right? So I think just being involved, being there, showing up, I think that's true whether you're a stepfather, whether you're a father of a child on the spectrum, you know, whatever it may be. I think there's a lot of commonality there.
Yeah. I still have blue toenails and I used to have pink fingernails because she was in a big painting her own fingernails and toenails thing. Yeah. So I was like, hey, go for it.
What keeps you motivated during the hard times? I know it sounds like you don't have a lot of hard times. There's a lot of positive times, but what do you think would keep you motivated in hard times?
Oh, just like the thought of the future, and like just to know that like the short, intermediate, like whatever problem it might be, like she misses the bus and it's like, oh, it's just annoying. It's not really hard. But like if something hard were to happen, it's just, hey, this is just a small little speed bump. Everything is, you know, if you get knocked down, you got to get back up, and things can only go up from a low point. Like very rarely does you keep getting beat down. And just know that like, even if it's something bad happens in the morning, in the afternoon, or even in the evening, it'll be better. Yeah. And it's not the end of the world if something hard is happening in the moment.
So kind of looking back, what do you wish you had known before becoming a stepdad? Is there anything that you're like, hey, Dan of years ago, you should have known this before going into this experience?
Be prepared to want to pull your hair out when it's bedtime, because sometimes you can tell how tired they are, and they're just like, I'm so tired, but also I don't want to go to bed. That was more of a joke than anything else. But as far as anything I wish I had known, just make it as much fun. Like early on, I was super cautious about trying to be like, don't do something wrong, when you just got to let it be natural and let her have fun. Sometimes you got to let her explore instead of trying to don't be the UFO or like the hovering parent. Let her have her fun. If she needs your help, she'll ask you for it.
I think that is something I've learned too, over the years, is just let them be them. Yeah. And just be there to support and be their cheerleader. Yeah. And that's the cool thing about being a father, whether you're a stepdad, whether you're, a father, you're a father in general, but just the different roles that you can play, right? And knowing when to, like a coach in sports, like when do I push? When do I kind of step back and let them feel their feelings? Yeah. When do I give them advice, et cetera? So what advice would you give to a new stepdad that's just starting out?
If you have any thoughts of like, oh, this is my stepkid, treat him as your normal kid. Treat them as if they are of your body, of your blood. It'll make all the difference in the world, because they feel it. They know the difference. I think that's something, like that's what my mom was adopted, and she said like her parents, she was an only child, and she's like, they have never treated me like a stepkid. It was always, I was their kid. They didn't tell me until like she was 18 years old. Like there's obvious differences in like hair color and whatnot, but besides that, like there was she was their kid.
And I think, we talk a lot about on like this podcast about father's experiences, father's emotions, but I think it's important for, Scar as well, right? That, that she knows that there's unwavering love, and that there's, she is your child. So what's one thing that you're proud of so far in your stepdad journey?
And I'm proud of just that she has grown so much in 1 year, and she loves the fact that like I love to be a part of it, and I don't let her like settle for second best, And we have a saying in the household, you're the one, not the two. And it's like, you hold your finger up, you let Scar say one, not the two. You're the one, not the two. And she gets her pumped up about herself. And like, it's just super, super cool to see her just kick ass through life as a little 7, almost 8-year-old.
And I think you could probably take your own slogan for yourself, right? Like,
I guess so.
Being a stepfather, people probably feel like a 2.
Yeah.
But you're a 1. You're not a 2, right?
That's a good way to put it. I never thought about it for myself. That's a good one.
Yeah, I should
like
go into
that.
marketing.
You should get into marketing.
Is there anything I didn't ask you that you think every stepdad should talk about or should know about? Or maybe there's something that I didn't ask you that like you think is important for a stepdad to know?
I mean, you kind of talked about it, or we kind of talked about it as far as like treating them as your own kid and whatnot. But I only have the knowledge of jumping into a life of a daughter who's 6 going into 7 now going into 8, fairly early on in development, and like really making up her own opinions at this point in life. And it like the only thing that you can really say is like, if you were their real dad, if you were their, flesh and blood dad, you would let them do their own thing based on the way you brought them up, right? You can steer them as much as you want to, as much as you can. You can't force them to do what you want them to do. Sometimes you just got to let them do what they want and let them find their own path in life. And it's true early on. Like now, you can kind of help them along in one way or another, but it'll come true definitely when they're older. And obviously, that's 10 years away from us before she can really let her make her own decisions. But like some of the easy decisions and whatnot, like, hey, you don't have to clean your room, but also you got to deal with the consequences if you don't, kind of a thing. It's like, we'll let you not do it, but when it's the 3rd day, you're going to hear about it,
right?
Kind of a thing. That's just her. She has to accept that.
Yeah. If you could sum up your experience in one word or one sentence, what would it be?
Fulfilling. It's definitely been fulfilling. And just bring as much joy. I feel like I brought as much joy as I could to her life, and she's brought more joy than I could have ever imagined in mine. And that was, something I wasn't expecting, but always hoped for, but I was never expecting.
That's awesome. Well, Dan, I appreciate it.
Jake, thanks for having me on.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot about being a stepdad, and I'm not. But I've learned a lot about it, and I hope that other people who are listening may have a similar experience and they can empathize with you and learn. And
yeah,
people who are just starting their journey as a stepdad can learn from you and listen. And as a community, we can all grow. So I appreciate it.
Definitely. Appreciate it.